You're watching ESPN's Road to Champ Week, presented by Wendy's. This is the ACC on ESPN tonight from the Dean Smith Center in Chapel Hill. A game that was not even on the schedule 4 days ago. Marquette out of the Big East coming in to take on North Carolina. Reese Davis and John Crispin with you. And John, the Tar Heels scheduled this game, didn't want the long break that was caused by a cancellation of the Boston College game last night, and they're coming off their best performance of the season against Louisville on Saturday.
Well, this is a Carolina team that's been working through the growth process all season. Their obvious strength lies inside in that front court, but to maximize the potential of that inside presence, the Tar Heels need to play to their identity. And as we talked to Roy Williams, that's up-tempo. It's run and jump. It's get stops, get out and transition. When they do that, as they did against Louisville, they're pretty darn good.
Hey, look, Louisville was coming off pause, but that was a really impressive performance from Roy's team, who can reach a milestone tonight. Roy Williams can get his 900th victory as a head coach. That would place him only 2 behind Bob Knight. He's already 4th on the all-time list with 899. And in talking to Roy today about the significance of 900, he told us, I'm more worried about 15, which is what they're going for tonight, their 15th win of the season. Tar Heels, for the 11th straight game, will start a customary lineup of Leaky Black, Caleb Love, Armando Bacot, Garrison Brooks, and Kerwin Walton. Marquette, meanwhile, making a change to its starting lineup as Jamal Cain is in, and Kobe McEwen will not start. First shot of the game won't go, but Theo John inside gets the offensive rebound. North Carolina's the best offensive rebounding team in the country, but Marquette gets the first one tonight.
It's interesting. We talked to both coaches, and obviously the size for North Carolina is a problem for Wojo, but Theo John's a problem too. He's a guy who's physical. He understands how to use his physicality. He's experienced, and he's going to be a challenge for North Carolina.
The first foul was called on Armando Bacot. And loose ball will stay on this end with Marquette. Our officials tonight are Brian Dorsey, Lamar Simpson, and Tommy Morrissey. You look at Steve Wojciechowski, the head coach at Marquette in his 7th season, the former Duke star who never got a win in the Dean Dome in his playing career, and hoping that he can get one tonight. Here's John with the jump hook, no good, and Bacot pulls it away, and Love pushing it into the front court. I mentioned the Carolina starting 5. This is one that Roy is stuck with for a while, as Bacot gets the first bucket of the night for the Heels.
Yeah, that little trail's going to be there. Why? Because Garrison Brooks held his steal. He held his steal and basically blocked out a help defender. Just an easy layup for Bacot.
Greg Elliott coming off a 15-point performance, or rather 17-point performance against Butler. Marquette hasn't had a lot of success of late. They've won just 2 of their last 8 bowl victories against Butler. It's Elliott shooting that helped them, and it's been Kerwin Walton's shooting that's helped the Tar Heels. Offensive rebound from North Carolina, and another opportunity for the Heels. Bacot with yet another offensive board. I think he stepped on the baseline. It'll be the Golden Eagles basketball.
He did, but the job was already done and the damage was already done. Marquette now fully aware that Wojo and his coaching staff have probably harped on the rebounding in preparation for this game, but there's nothing like seeing it in person. And the size for North Carolina, it's pretty intimidating.
As DJ Carton with the basketball, the Ohio State transfer goes all the way to the bucket, and DJ, who leads his team in scoring and just under 13 per game, has his first 2 of the night.
And DJ's a high-level basketball player. I mean, he is tough off the bounce. You're going to see them play defense at times almost on his side, almost behind, forcing him to the basket. And a lot of people may not like it, but you're forcing tempo from a team that may muck it up and slow it down.
And a foul is called underneath. The foul is going to be called on maybe Leaky Black. I couldn't tell if it was Love or Leaky Black. I thought I saw the official signal 1 finger, but my statistician is telling me it's Caleb Love, so we'll check that. And it is Caleb Love. I should never doubt my statistician.
You'll learn.
Only 30-plus years in this business to make that mistake early, right? 2-2 in the early going. Marquette, North Carolina, both played in this game. Basically, Roy said he didn't want the long break between games, and Steve Wojciechowski said, why not create a memory, an opportunity for his players? They played in Pauley Pavilion. Now they'll get a chance and are playing tonight in the Dean Smith Center. And So it's an opportunity for Marquette, not necessarily about resume building. The Golden Eagles are 2 games under 500 and unlikely to be able to make a run toward in that large bid. Would have to win the Big East tournament. That foul was called on freshman Dawson Garcia, averaging over 12 points a game. It's a guy that North Carolina recruited, but opted to cast his lot with Steve Wojciechowski and Marquette.
Look, these are games that you get up for a little bit more than others, and it's only human. I think at times we try to act like, no, it's just the next game. Well, that's just cliche. That's coach talk. The reality is kids do get up for big-time blue blood opponents like the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Kerwin Walton, who's been really shooting it well from 3, had his second one of the night rattle out. A little bit of a slow offensive start for both teams. Carton tries to change that, and Carton goes all the way to the bucket. The left-hander using his strong side, and he has all 4 Golden Eagle points.
Yeah, that's where Marquette,
and he almost got a steal.
They need to be good about seeking out those advantages, right? You get a switch if you're DJ Carton. You know Baycott's got to come out and cover. You can't just allow an easy 3. Carton's too good off the bounce. He's going to get to the basket every time. At least any time he's got that matchup advantage.
Eels have missed their last 4 shots. Didn't miss anything. Chris Mack from Louisville's thinking, where were some of these misses Saturday? And weren't any of them. Baycott follows his own. He misses it. Garrison Brooks was in there trying to get an offensive board, but it'll be Marquette basketball.
And that ball was probably off of Marquette, but it's one of those, you probably fouled a dude, so I'm just going to give it to Marquette anyway, which I think is a great call. And if you run the officials, if you're the head of the consortium or whatever, don't punish them for that. That was a great call. It's like the no call, my favorite call.
Eels shot 61% against Louisville. Trail for only 29 seconds. They made just 1 of their first 7, and now Marquette's made just 2 of its first 8. Kerwin Walton with the basketball. Day'Ron Sharp is checked into the game. Leaky Black, not noted for his shooting prowess, and he shot that one a little long. And Garcia knocks down the shot. Big man, a versatile guy who can step out on the perimeter, play inside and out. And Wojciechowski's team's jumped to a 4-point lead. They've scored the last 6 points.
Garcia does a good job of faking with the basketball, faking the pass, good back cut, leaves him wide open for a shot. Wow.
How about that strong move from the freshman Day'Ron Sharp?
He's just gotten better and better. Every single game you can just see he's developing feel. His instincts are better, and that means he has to think a little less on the basketball court. And if you're thinking less, you're better off.
Well, he's the best offensive rebounder in the country by offensive rebounding rate as Garcia. I would say Sharp, the freshman, steps inside, and Garcia steps outside, and he scored the last 5 for the Golden Eagles.
Garcia's in that perfect position, right? The stretch 4. Everybody seeks that out. He can space you out. He's going to be covered by a 4 or a 5. And little ball fakes make the big men drop.
The 6'11" kid out of Prior Lake, Minnesota. Love firing from 3, and the Tar Heels, who've been shooting it better from out there, can't find the range in the early going. Marquette has it again. Black putting some pressure on Jamal Cain, who's in the starting lineup for Kobe McEwen. Black was trying to poke it away from behind, but a strong move by Cain, and Marquette is playing very well right out of the game. They've been struggling with the exception of those Butler games, although Wojciechowski said it's their most complete game of the season in the last win against Butler. Sharp incredulous. Tar Heels down by 7 early. This is the ACC on ESPN, and that face is recognizable across the Atlantic Coast Conference. Steve Wojciechowski had a splendid career as a player at Duke. He was 2-time All-ACC player, National Defensive Player of the Year in 1998, but he did not have any success in the Dean Smith Center. 0-4 as a player in the Dean Dome, 2-7 against Carolina in his career. But he sort of epitomized that gritty defense that Duke played during that era, and he tries to instill that type of toughness in his teams right now, John.
I just have images of him slapping the floor. I mean, anytime I slapped the floor, I probably got beat right after it. I had to save my energy, but he did. He just lifted. He elevated that intensity of his Duke teams. It's always interesting to see because he's kind of a blue-collar guy at a blue-chip program, yet he lifted the intensity of the entire program.
Carton knocks in the long three, and Marquette's lead is 10. You know, I asked Steve what his thought would be walking into the Dean Smith Center tonight, and he said to make himself feel more like it was at the player, he was going to have his sports information director, Scott Kuykendall, sit across the way and flip him off the whole game. It would feel like it did when he was a player. Sharp misses in North Carolina. Let's just call it like it is, John. They look awful in the early going. Shot on the way missed by Jose Perez, a transfer from Gardner-Webb, which is in the state of North Carolina. R.J. Davis into the game for the Tar Heels. Sharp tips it up. He can't get it to go, and pulled away by Jamal Cain.
Well, considering North Carolina's had 4 offensive rebounds, you think they're going to be able to capitalize, but they haven't been able to do so, and that's a credit to Marquette staying on top of them. Even though North Carolina gets the rebound, they're on top of them right as they get the basketball.
Blocked by Sharp since Tar Heels going the other way. R.J. Davis into the game, and I don't think he was trying to call bank.
This is game plan for Marquette. It's allow certain guys to shoot, but we're not going to get beat in the paint. So far, so good for Marquette.
Another three on the way is no good. Sharp, another rebound for the Tar Heels. North Carolina has missed its first 5 threes. This is not a good three-point shooting Tar Heel team. This is what they do best. Garrison Brooks gets his first basket. Only Kerwin Walton is considered a threat from three-point territory, but the Tar Heels have been moving the ball better and have gotten better looks and have shot a little better from three in their recent improved play.
Well, they also need to read the seal. I mean, that time Playtech doing a good job getting the ball back out towards the top of the key, reading the seal of Garrison Brooks. He had him on the low side. You got to get the ball back out and get a passing lane.
Tar Heels try to go with tempo, and R.J. Davis will go to the free throw line. So R.J. will try to knock in a couple of free throws, but it's been DJ Carton and company. How about this little step back and showing some range for the left-hander? Marquette off to a great start. Roy Williams one victory away from career win number 900. His Tar Heels are not off to a scintillating start. You see just abysmal shooting, and John Marquette's held its own on the glass, which is a big win against the Heels.
They have held their own, but North Carolina has given them plenty of opportunities to get defensive rebounds. As you see, the 3 of 15 shooting. First free throw of the night coming here under 12, which tells me Marquette is #1 doing a good job of protecting the paint without fouling. That was #1, keeping Theo John on the floor for as much as possible. Guy plays about 28 minutes a game. Keeping him out of foul trouble's key.
And Sharp, the guy with the best offensive rebounding rate in the nation, gets one, and he will go to the free throw line. Not a great free throw shooter, 51%. Averages 3.5 offensive rebounds per game. In addition to those, Sharp rattles that one in, being an average at best free throw shooting team, to put it kindly. North Carolina hasn't finished inside the way we're accustomed to seeing them, as Sharp makes both.
Yeah, you've got to gather, and at times you see these big guys kind of go up off balance, and that usually leads to a miss. You've got to gather, be strong, go up, particularly when you're playing against an unfamiliar opponent. Scouting's always different. You've been playing ACC opponents, now you're facing a Big East opponent. It's just a different approach.
Andrew Playtech is in the game, so too is Anthony Harris and Walker Kessler. All of them touch the ball, and Kessler, who's had 2 straight double-figure games, finishing it. A great look from Harris, the redshirt freshman from Woodbridge, Virginia. And North Carolina has sort of settled itself and gotten back to within 3, scoring the last 7.
Well, that's what Roy Williams is looking for, just a spark. Give me somebody that can bring a little energy, create a little rhythm in this game, because that's ultimately what's been lacking. It's rhythm and flow, and that's when North Carolina's at their best.
Roy telling us today really wanted the bigs to run circle to circle particularly, and then said it was on the guards who didn't have the ball to be able to run to get the pass ahead, to get the tempo that they want. Here's Kessler, his second straight bucket.
Kessler's good. And the best thing about that's not the made shot. Everybody sees a made jumper and says, oh, he's got that. No, what he's got is the ability to read the play and relocate to the open spot where he can get the open shot.
His dad, Dr. Chad Kessler, a terrific player at Georgia. So too was his uncle, Alec Kessler, who played in the NBA. Walker has another rebound, and here come the Tar Heels, a chance to take the lead. Well, for Kessler, and he couldn't quite handle the pass, and it'll be a turnover for the Heels.
If you saw Kane fighting down low, I mean, fighting to maintain defensive position, and that's what you have to do if you're undersized, and I was one of those guys. Shoot, I was undersized if I was covering a point guard. You got to play defense early, which means you have to anticipate where that guy's going to go. If it's going to be the ball side block, you need to beat him to the ball side block. Kane did it very well.
Symir Torrance back to the bench after a brief appearance. Here's Dawson Garcia and DJ Carton. Carton finds his man in the corner. Kobe McEwen's into the game and into the scorebook, and Marquette, it's their first points in a little over 4 minutes. Baycott has returned for North Carolina. There's Harris again, trying to thread one in to Walker Kessler, maybe a little overly aggressive. McEwen Euros past the defense, and in the corner, Greg Elliott, who had a fine game against Butler, knocking down 3 threes, has one, and Marquette answers, and they push the lead back out to 7 after the Heels came within 1.
The Euro step has changed the game. That's probably going to be a legal screen because they call it every time. But the Euro step has changed the game because of the block charge, right? So many teams teach standing in front, taking it on the chest, and yelling and screaming and flying 4 rows back into the stands to sell the charge. The Euro step allows you to get around it. But in addition to getting around it, you're also still a threat to score, which brings help defense. The help defense comes to take the layup away. You got an open 3. It's good basketball.
Here is McEwen, who typically is in the starting lineup, started his career at Utah State. Marquette's had several guys injured, so they're a little bit thin right now. Theo John, who you've mentioned a couple of times, John, that they're trying to keep on the floor, is barely practicing, if at all, as a sweet little soft move from Garcia. And another turnover for North Carolina.
And this has just kind of been a game runs, right? Back and forth, 9-0 run over the last minute 10 for Marquette, and that's just smooth. Now that's what old men do, to hang on to the game. They make good, fundamental, under control plays like that. Garcia, good feel for it.
Long 6'11" freshman, a young guy doing it too, and Garcia goes to the floor, and Marquette turns it over. You know, Roy Williams was talking today, John, about their improved offensive play. They'd assisted on 61% of their baskets in ACC games. He said one of the big reasons, not just better shooting, but taking better care of the basketball. That is not the case so far tonight. They've turned it over the last 4 times. Garrison Brooks does not turn it over. He slams it home, his second dunk of the night.
If they're going to get that high-low with no ball pressure, Marquette's going to get beat up. You've got to apply pressure on the ball so the passer just can't pick out the pass. Garrison Brooks still doing a good job, though, with holding the seal.
Elliott refused the screen from John. Marquette looks a little jumbled up on offense right now. The shot clock's at 5. But instead, John gets loose. He got a little shove from Kerwin Walsh, and he got away from it. John scored anyway. And another sloppy pass knocked away as Wojciechowski pleased with his defense and probably his offense too, as Marquette comes in 2 games under 500 but up by 9 on the road. Kelsey, Sean, thank you very much. The ACC standings as Virginia is 1 behind Florida State in the loss column, and also took one right in the kisser from the Seminoles. I think Leonard Hamilton's team, John, is I think is the best team in the ACC right now. Virginia's very good, and certainly Duke's coming on. But the Seminoles, to me, have set themselves apart.
They really have, and they've only gotten better. And it's not just that they've gotten better from scoring or defense. It's general polish. And that's developing a feel for one another. This is a new group. You've got new stars. How do they fit with the team? That takes time, particularly this year where it's just been discombobulated from the start. I mean, these are often kids that get on campus in June. You start to develop them. You create the dynamics through strength and conditioning. You haven't had any of that. So it's a lot of learning on the fly. I give Leonard Hamilton all the credit in the world for bringing that all together.
That last foul, John, was on Theo John. You've talked about the importance of him staying out of foul trouble. It is his second. Baycott makes 1 out of 2. And John, the veteran who led the Big East in blocks last year, is sitting in 5th this year. Played with a broken wrist, but has had knee problems this year that has hampered his ability to perhaps do the things he's accustomed to. But the veteran can play with 2 fouls and slam 1 home. He has 4 points, and Marquette's lead is double figures. You know, we've talked about Carolina coming off its best game of the season. I mean, Marquette had a 28-point lead on Butler. They played really well their last time out.
This is a Marquette team that has beaten good teams this year. I mean, watching them do what they did against Wisconsin and Creighton, those are really high-level basketball teams, which tells me this is a dangerous team. It's a dangerous game for North Carolina to pick up, considering they're fighting to be in the field of 68.
Baycott and John fighting down low. And I think they're going to get Armando for that one. And that is his second. Here's what Marquette has done. They started the season 5-2, and the victory against Wisconsin, Justin Lewis had the tip in for that one. He's had an ankle problem, one of the many injuries for Wojciechowski's team. We don't expect to be able to see him tonight. But since that victory against Creighton, they've gone 5-10. A lot of the games have been close, so they did get blown out by Villanova, but then again, get in line. A lot of people get blown out by Villanova.
It happens. You know, Day'Ron Sharpe is a good on-ball defender. He really is. I've seen him get switched out on guards and he gaps and spaces. He does a good job. But that time, against Garcia, you could tell he just stood up. You can't take a break. It's almost as if the sense of urgency isn't there for North Carolina right now. When I say sense of urgency, it's not just the big things. It's not the obvious things. It's the little things. It's the cuts. It's the passing. It's the vision. It's the communication. Just not there yet.
Big left-hander Garcia, a couple of free throws. Marquette's on a 14-4 surge. And a little high-low, and Brooks was able to seal off his man. The foul's going to be called inside, and it looks like they're going to get Kane for it. Look what we got coming up on Thursday. Luka Garza in Iowa against Isaiah Livers in Michigan. What a victory for the Wolverines against Ohio State on the road on Sunday. That's Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, part of the Sonic Blockbuster. And then Ohio State, who played Michigan tooth and nail, and the suddenly resurgent Spartans. And follows up part of Road to Champ Week presented by Wendy's, Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Do you think Spartans showed some of that typical toughness against the Fighting Illini, John?
I have a feeling Tom Izzo brought the shoulder pads out leading up to that game. I mean, it was the most physical game I've seen all year. I think Texas Tech, Oklahoma State was pretty darn physical too. But that Michigan State-Illinois game was on another level. And a lot of people, the old Big Ten purists, they love it. Big Ten make men and all that stuff. But man, that was something else.
Brooks rattles in the free throw. The guy who's trying to keep him from getting that deep position was Jamal Kane. And the senior out of Pontiac, Michigan, picked up his 3rd foul in the process. Here's Carton guarded by Caleb Love. You got John with 2. You got Kane with 3. You got Elliott shooting for a 3 ball, and he couldn't get it. And the Tar Heels, as we head inside 6 minutes, down by 9 and with the ball. R.J. Davis turns the corner.
That's good offense for North Carolina, but even on the last miss, Marquette was locked in. They countered the defense in terms of how DJ Carton handled the ball screen. 1 or 2 extra passes and a driving kick. You got an open look, so you can feel good about that. That's a feel-good miss.
Garcia's drawn Sharp away from the basket where you'd think he'd have an advantage. Sharp's a very good driver and a terrific alert play from Elliott to follow it in.
You know, Reese, rotations don't stop with the guy that comes over to help. The rotations have to continue with the other 3 or 4 that are on the court. North Carolina's just not there. Travel in that case.
R.J. Davis wanted to step back and shoot the 3 instead of shooting the shot that analytics guys hate. Instead, he traveled with it. This time he did not travel. It's a great move to the bucket.
Look, you shoot the open shot. I know analytics may tell you one thing. The second you take yourself out of rhythm, I'm saying this as a shooter, a has-been shooter at least. The second you take yourself out of rhythm just to get to the 3, you increase the opportunity for misses. Just shoot the shot you have open, get your feet ready, and if anything, get yourself ready before the ball gets there.
Jose Perez, a little pump fake on Sharp, and Jose knocks one down. He's got a whistle with bodies flying underneath.
Bodies, shoes, you name it.
Lost the kick. I think it's going to be the second foul on R.J. Davis. Watch what happened down low.
Oh, the shot will count too. Yeah, I mean, that's a good basket in the ball back. Man, that's tough.
I'm going to tell you, the way R.J. kept those feet moving, too, on the block and the forearms in place.
It's good pass block.
Yeah, Mac Brown may be giving him a call soon.
Yeah, look at you. You may have a few pounds to put on, but you can work with that. Rudy did it.
Well, Greg Elliott makes the first. Elliott, an 83% shooter. He's a guy that sort of embodies the spirit of this team. He's sort of the life of the party. They say everybody loves to be around Greg Elliott. They really like him when he's scoring the way he did against Butler, and the way he has tonight. His Marquette's lead has ballooned to 13 points.
That's what they say about you behind the scenes at ESPN too. Guy that's life of the party.
This is true. I don't know about life of the party, but people everybody wants to be around.
We don't need to discuss where I fall in that mix. I'm the guy that shows up uninvited. It's all right.
Hey, man, when they scheduled this game, they said, who do you want to work with? I said, I'd work with my guy. Come on. He changed his schedule to hang out here for Marquette, North Carolina.
I thought David Seisler asked me who I wanted to work with. Now I'm getting mixed signals.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the way it went. Oh, man. Here's Sharp, double team coming, and they force the turnover. Marquette, 2-on-2. Elliott takes it right at Walton, won't go. Garcia tried to grab the rebound, and I think it will be North Carolina basketball as we go to the under 4. As Tommy Morrissey, a little consult with Elliott. Tar Heels struggling in the first half.
I wanted to apologize. I was unable to get back to you in time to call this game with you. I know that was your first call.
Sean, I was telling John in the break, you just can't take a compliment. John's like, as Kessler tips it in, he said, I like how you put it in there that I'm only here because of you. And I was like, I was trying to throw you a bouquet. I said, take the compliment, man. No, Chris, I love you, Farnham, but Crispin's my guy now. Come on.
There we go. I appreciate that.
Finally, you can take a compliment. I'll compliment Dawson Garcia often as he now has 11 points. This is really a good-looking freshman for Wojciechowski.
He's a tough matchup for the bigs, and he's a tough matchup for guards that get switched on to him. And that's going to be a challenge for North Carolina, who just can't seem to find the rhythm offensively, which probably starts with getting out transition, and that begins with a stop.
Kerwin Walton has been shooting the ball so well. He's missed every three-pointer, and he just missed everything on the two-point attempt. And there is another three in the corner. Now 10 points for Elliott. Elliott following up his fine performance against Butler. Big to big, and Elliott's in making a defensive play. A 16-point lead for the Golden Eagles and trying to make it larger. Tough pass there. Ill-advised. Here come the Tar Heels. Caleb Love won't go in, but they're sharp on the offensive glass.
Watching this North Carolina defense, the biggest issue I see is just not being able to contain the basketball. People talk so much this year about Gonzaga and Baylor, and I'm going to focus this part on Baylor. Baylor defends the ball as well as anybody in the country, and not just with one guy. It's not just Davion Mitchell. It's everybody. It's Butler. It's Maceo T. Whoever's in the game, they defend the basketball. They guard the ball. They funnel it in an area that can't hurt you. And right now, North Carolina is just giving open drives where it's forcing help and leading to open shots.
$14-point lead headed to the 2-minute mark. Elliott's been terrific. Garcia's had good moments. DJ Carton as well. Theo John and Jamal Cain have gotten in a little bit of foul trouble. A little step through from Carton. He gets another opportunity. Sharp rejects it. Here's Elliott again, and Elliott is burning it up. His third three-pointer of the night. A 17-point lead for Marquette.
So much of this has happened because DJ Carton's just getting to the basket off the bounce. I mean, he's really winning the game in that department. He's not scoring a lot, but the defense is being broken down. He misses a shot, gets his own offensive rebound, and the block is ultimately what sets up the easy opportunity from the corner. But look at DJ Carton continuing to fight. Garcia, little step through, open shot. All good things happening right now for Marquette.
Elliott has 8 of Marquette's last 10 points. That last foul was called on his teammate Kobe McEwen, his first. North Carolina, which is last in the ACC in turnovers with 14 a game, has already turned it over 10 times. And Kerwin Walton, who has had not his best first half, gets his first point of the game.
Carolina just needs to get balanced offensively. And sometimes balance is the floor, right? You got to balance the floor. The other time, it's think Villanova, think Ohio State, right? They're always on balance. They've got strong bases. And when you have a strong base, you make a better decision. That's how you find a little confidence in a game like this where you haven't been able to create rhythm.
I would expect Walton to come out and play much better in the second half. He's as good a shooter as you'll find. Roy Williams says he thinks he was the best shooter in high school basketball last year coming out. And uncharacteristic for him to miss some of these, but it's been another freshman in Garcia who continues to make his presence felt, a chance for a three-point play.
Garcia's just been really good in terms of finding spots. And if you gamble there, Caleb Love, you're going to leave somebody else in a bad spot. If you're going to gamble, you better be there early, man. Your presence has to be shown. You gamble late because you don't want to fight over the top. Somebody else is going to get beat.
Garcia's already exceeded his average. He averages a little over 12 per game. He has 14 and 5 rebounds as Marquette has built an 18-point lead. Anthony Harris in the game. There's Anthony from North Carolina. As the Tar Heels looking for some combination to finish the last minute of this half on a positive note.
Well, the combination is likely going to come from the bench. The bench has scored 15 out of the 27 points. Just need to find a spark.
Brooks misses. Marquette can build the lead to 20. The biggest deficit the Heels have faced at halftime this year is just a dozen. And Jose Perez almost traveled, and then Marquette was called for it. And just the 5th turnover of the first half for the Golden Eagles. Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. Illinois hoping to bounce back after that game against Michigan State, taking on Wisconsin, 2 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. Hoping to have Ayo Dosunmu join us on College Game Day Saturday morning. The sensational guard from the Illini in the final few seconds here in Chapel Hill of the first half. It has been all Marquette. A really impressive performance from a team that has lost 6 of its last 8 games, only wins in the last month against Butler. North Carolina's been playing well. There's Garrison Brooks with the follow flush. Chance for Perez at the horn, and he can't get it, but I think Wojciechowski will take that 16-point lead to the break. Garcia with 14, Elliott with 13, and Marquette has dominated in the first half. Second half not too far away, but right now we go to the studio and our good friend Kelsey Riggs. Kelsey? You're watching ESPN's Road to Champ Week presented by Wendy's. In the Dean Dome, second half about to start. What was an abysmal first 20 minutes for the Tar Heels, and Marquette was outstanding. Reese Davis, John Crispin with you. Biggest halftime deficit of the season for Carolina. Biggest deficit when they were down 18. And you see how Greg Elliott and Dawson Garcia have dominated this game, John.
Yeah, they have dominated this game. I mean, you look, 13 points for Elliott, 16 for Garcia, and North Carolina can't seem to find rhythm, can't find confidence. Defensively, they've struggled. They've chased the basketball. And I would say if this was earlier in the season, losing to a team like Marquette, not sure where they're at in the grand scheme of things, it's great. It's a learning experience. It's a different team. But at this point in the season, you expect a little more polish if you're North Carolina. That was what was lacking the most in the first half.
Roy Williams looking for his 900th career victory. He'll be the fourth member of the 900 club. He's already the fourth member of the 199 wins club. But more pressing for the Tar Heels than the significance of this game. This is one of the games in terms of tournament resume that you need to avoid losing. North Carolina's got Florida State, at Syracuse, and Duke coming up with the rest of the regular season. If you throw in a loss tonight, all of a sudden maybe that spot in the field of 68 where Joe Lunardi currently has the Heels sitting at a 9 seed becomes much more precarious. I think the best way to put the first half offensively for the Heels is that Garrison Brooks and Walker Kessler shot 89%, 8 of 9. The rest of the team shot 14%, 3 of 21. And Brooks misses right on cue, just his second miss of the night. And Marquette had a tremendous first half from Garcia with 16 and Elliott with 13 and DJ Carton, who's running the show with 7 and was shooting for 10. And here come the Tar Heels.
It just feels like at this part of the season, regardless of whether you're a veteran team, a young team, you just think Al Davis, right? Just win, baby. That's it. You've got to find a way to overcome and win basketball games. So in this case, it's a great test for Carolina to find a way to come back from down 16.
Kobe McEwen starting the second half. Jamal Cain picked up 3 fouls in the first half. McEwen is typically a starter, but did not start in the game tonight. And Kerwin Walton looked as if he might be lining up a 3. He hasn't made a field goal tonight. Was the one who drew that foul. Tar Heels not a good three-point shooting team. That's why it's so important for Walton to get going from the perimeter, but the senior Brooks trying to carry them as he scores and has a chance for a three-point play.
And he's got the advantage here. You're being covered by 2 guards down low. And DJ Carton wants to come over the top, and on the backside, you've got Elliott coming over, but he's got to be present. And you can't swipe. That's fake defense. You can't just swipe and give Garrison Brooks an easy and one opportunity.
Brooks followed his own missed free throw, and we'll have a tie ball, and the possession arrow belongs to the Golden Eagles.
You see it in the body language. You do, right? You see it in the body language for Carolina that there are just nights, and nobody wants to admit this. Coaches don't like to admit it at times either, but the reality, because it sounds like an excuse, but there are just nights where you go, gosh, we just don't have it. The question is, how can you manufacture it? How do you manufacture that without experience, without having senior guards and running the show and managing the game? It's a greater challenge.
Garcia right by Brooks. Garcia scores again.
He's making it look easy. Big guy putting it on the deck. Man, really is.
He's a preseason Big East Freshman of the Year, and he's won Freshman of the Week 3 times, and he might be well on his way to winning it again with this performance so far. Here's Walton, 10. That's more like what we've been seeing of late from Kerwin Walton.
It's big because you're able to set up this pressure. I mean, you need to pick up the tempo and pace of this game. When the tempo's high, Carolina finds rhythm. When they have rhythm, they make a higher percentage of shots. It's really pretty simple. We complicate it by trying to be cute, but it's a simple game.
That was the Tar Heels' first triple. They went 0 for 6 in the first half. Shot clock at 7. Here's Garcia. He can make that shot. Baycott pulls it away. Love going to try to push the tempo for the Heels. And if that doesn't epitomize the way the Tar Heels have played tonight, I don't know what does. They run into each other and then commit the foul as Carton is going to the bucket.
Yes, there's some things you just can't write, right, Reese? I mean, you're just dribbling up the court, and it is hard. It is hard to change sides of the floor with the bounce as you've got defenders and offensive players coming back. Probably not the best decision, and if you're Armando Baycott, you've watched enough Marquette to know that DJ Carton is a highlight waiting to happen, and you don't want to be on the back end of that, or the wrong side of that.
And that's a third foul on Baycott, and he's going to have a seat. Armando with 3 points and 5 rebounds tonight, and he'll sit out for a while. Aaron Sharp checks back in, chases down the rebound, though Theo John made him work for it. And the Tar Heels down 14. Marquette trying to pull off a huge road win in a game that was just scheduled 4 days ago, and going to be a foul called inside.
Theo John picks up the foul there, and tough foul for him, but they did well without him towards the end of this first half. I mean, he was out with the 2 fouls for the last 4 or 5 minutes, and Marquette just scrambled defensively to protect the paint with a smaller lineup.
Now he has 3 fouls as Brooks misses the first free throw. John, a 6'9" senior from Minneapolis. Fellow senior on the front line, Jamal Kane, had 3 fouls in the first half. And now checking in is Jose Perez, a 6'5" junior from the Bronx, who was called on some in the first half and get a little extra run here in the second as John goes to the bench with 3 fouls. Brooks makes 1 of 2.
So many people say at this point you just got to get it to 10, and I understand why. I completely agree, because mentally it feels like you're in it. But really, Carolina has to couple some made baskets with good pressure, you know, elevate the tempo and pace of this game, get it to a point where you're comfortable.
McEwen kicks it back. Now Perez. Buckets.
Too easy. I mean, one of the issues with college basketball for a while there was the overhelp. You overhelp because you go through shell drill. That's just bad passing. You go through shell drill, ball side, help side. Well, it's different now because everybody wants to play drive and kick basketball. You can't help off of shooters, and Garcia was open for about 12 seconds on that play.
Carton goes to the right hand, and Marquette gets the lead back to 18, matching its biggest of the night. And it is another turnover from North Carolina, who Roy Williams is beside himself over there, and why not?
I mean, on both ends here. I mean, even defensively here, you see one chase hard. Now you have to bring an extra help defender over, and just wide open for Perez.
John, I mentioned earlier, Perez, a transfer from Gardner-Webb, which is in Boiling Springs, North Carolina. He was all Big South as a freshman, so he knows about scoring. He averaged about 15 points per game in his 2 seasons playing for the Bulldogs.
He also knows about North Carolina, which means he's getting up for this game.
McEwen had to fire one up to beat the shot clock. Tar Heels again have it knocked away McEwen. That's just a bad bounce for Marquette, and Brooks is able to clean it up for the Heels. Good hustle on the defensive end, got a deflection, but it went right to Brooks, and Carolina with a serendipitous moment. Brooks has 14.
Well, I talked about, feel-good misses. Well, there are also fool's gold makes. That was a fool's gold make. It's not something you want to build upon. Is that a charge?
I think it looks like they called the charge on Garrison Brooks, and they did. And a charge like that from Brooks' open floor, and you wonder how soon frustration starts to set in for the Heels.
Touches and paint points.
It's an 8-point game right now, Reese. Virginia trailing.
We'll keep an eye on that, Kelsey. And North Carolina here is getting mashed by Marquette. Last offensive foul on Garrison Brooks. That was one of those fouls, John, as Carolina's trying to put the heat on. They forced a turnover in the backcourt. Leaky Black will get the end one. That call was correct. The previous one was a function of Brooks dribbling the ball down the floor, and the officials said, well, now, he really shouldn't be doing that. But that was a tough call against Garrison Brooks, right? Here it is.
I mean, it wasn't that bad. He was under control. This is just a god-awful call. There's no way around it. Now, I don't even think you have the position to be able to make that call, but you're standing straight up, kind of on the move. Garrison Brooks gets a little contact, but play on, man. Like, no call.
Absolutely.
Just play on. Help the flow of the game. Facilitate as an official. Facilitate flow, and you'll have a better basketball game for all of us. By the way, the steal on the inbounds, I could hear Rasheed Wallace somewhere out there screaming, "Ball don't lie," as if it was a bad call and they deserved to get it back.
Well, Perez tried to get a timeout call. He didn't do it in time, so 2 straight turnovers now from Marquette, and an opportunity for North Carolina, perhaps. And Walton travels. 15th turnover of the night from North Carolina.
Ball don't lie. That's what I hear. Ball don't lie. That's why they got it back. Still couldn't capitalize. Extra opportunities, but Carolina offensively, dribbling into your own man multiple times here to start this second half. They've got to be under control. And sometimes, look, you and I, not to bring them up on a Carolina game, but you and I talked to Coach K about it. It's a similar issue.
Another turnover in Marquette, and Brooks finishes it, and Garrison has 16 points, and all of a sudden that press is giving Marquette fits. Carton almost loses it. He might have been fouled in the backcourt. A lot of contact back there, but now the Heels will retreat.
But to that point, I want to say what Carolina needs to do is just stop and see, right? Just settle in, make better decisions in the half court, and you'll have a better opportunity to win this game.
Elliott did everything right, and somehow the basket just rejected his shot. That was all the way in the bottom until it somehow spun out. Spinning and not scoring is Sharp, and Carton coming the other way for the Golden Eagles. Garcia with a layup.
I don't know how Garcia gets that open in transition. I mean, communicate. Play with a sense of urgency.
Tried for the lob. Brooks couldn't handle it. Elliott has it, and Marquette, every time it seems like Carolina's about to make a charge, Marquette makes the tough player. They force a turnover, or DJ Carton gets to the basket. That time it wouldn't go. Playtech for 3. Just the second 3-ball of the night for the Heels, and the lead is 10.
I still think the most important thing you can do is make shots and set up pressure. Just pick up the tempo. Create additional possessions in this game. Your numbers aren't very good for the possessions you have, so you might as well create more.
John came out to set the screen, playing with those 3 fouls, and Carton has it taken away. Now suddenly in the last couple of minutes, Marquette's had trouble taking care of the ball. Playtech tried to make it 2 in a row, couldn't get it, and the Carolina bench does not like the call. I think the foul is going to be on Day'Ron Sharp, and that'll be his 3rd.
Talking about another loose ball foul. Tip out on the rebound, and initially, look, I'm never always right, but initially it just looked like a physical play. I mean, is there a hook and hold in there? I mean, we're probably going to spend the next 5 minutes at the monitor based on what I just saw.
Yeah, it looked. Garcia might have had him. It looked like Brooks. That's not what the call was. I think the call was against Sharp and Theo John, a little farther away from the basket.
Oh, no, that's who I was looking at. I just didn't see it. If anything, maybe a hook and hold back there, but
there might have been 2 hook and holds, because it looked like Garcia might have had Garrison Brooks as well when Garrison was going over his back.
Let's be clear about this. There's a hook and hold on every single play in basketball. Everybody's going to try to gain an advantage. It happens. You almost do it instinctually. You could call it every single time, give them a flagrant one. They're still going to instinctually do it. You're trying to maintain or gain position.
This game has lacked a little flow. Marquette hit a good spurt late in the first half offensively, but recently the Golden Eagles have had trouble against the pressure from North Carolina, just getting the ball in the front court.
It's lacked flow. I mean, we've had, I hate to put so much on officials, but at times when the whistle's blown, it completely interrupts the flow that we finally have. And that's what that last call just did.
Samir Torrance into the game for Marquette. He played briefly in the first half. And Torrance running the show as Marquette finds John underneath for the dunk.
No ball pressure on the ball, so you can pick out your pass, and John does a good job showing that he's open, both hands high.
Carton taking a break right now for the Golden Eagles. Playtech shot fake. Now Andrew will get it back, go to the basket, and he'll go to the free throw line and shoot a couple as the block is called.
Have good spacing, you're going to be able to pick out your pass, but hands low for Harris. No hands high, which means you throw right over top of his head. As a guard, you just have to have active hands. You can even fake. I did it all the time. Fake active hands. Just be distracting or something, but you can't allow an offensive player just to pick out their pass with ease. Make
foul was on.
Do something.
Says, I'm sorry, John, excuse me, yeah. Playtech makes the first and the second. And it's back to a 10-point game. Playtech has scored the last 5 for the Heels. Torrance, a sophomore from Syracuse, New York, working on R.J. Davis. Carolina much more active and aggressive on defense than they were in the first half, though we just saw him give up an easy basket. Not quite as lethargic. Good hands by Playtech. Harris on the push. Baycott. Playtech for 3.
Playtech's got to have it.
McEwen has it for Marquette.
Yeah, that's one of those ones. You ran good offense, you've got to be able to capitalize. But you should feel good about your ability to move the ball.
McEwen kicks it out. Wide open look and rattled in for another 3 for Marquette. As McEwen made the terrific look. 8-3 of the night for the Golden Eagles.
That's a big swing. You got an open look if you're Carolina. You miss that shot in the corner, and it leads to a 3 on the other end.
Offensive rebound, and Garrison Brooks knocks it in.
Reese, it doesn't feel like an 11-point game, does it? It feels like it's 15 or 20.
Yeah. It feels like the lead is much bigger. That's why you're a little bit wary if you're a Marquette fan right now.
Yes.
Mulcahy just hit that last 3. Here's Torrance. He's going to try one, and Samir Torrance knocks down the 3. He's the 7th different Golden Eagle to hit a triple tonight. And this is not a great three-point shooting team, but they're shooting it pretty well against Carolina at a 43% clip. 9 triples for Marquette, and the lead's back to 14. And the foul is going to be called on Kobe McEwen.
It's the defense for Carolina. If you can't keep your man in front, you force your men to come over and help. Harris, I don't know what he's doing. He's got to play defense with his back to his man. Help comes, open 3 for McEwen.
Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. Louisville and Duke Saturday night, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. The Blue Devils have fought their way back to the bubble. Another opportunity for a good win. Cardinals bounced back after an abysmal performance against North Carolina to beat Notre Dame last night. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern time, Baylor and Kansas. Boy, Baylor struggled coming off the break against an Iowa State team that's had a rough season, to put it mildly. Bears never really did get in their typical rhythm. We'll see how much better they'll be as they go forward. Baylor's going to have a busy schedule. It's Big 12 has rescheduled a number of games that have been postponed. The Bears are supposed to play 3 times this week, but their game against West Virginia this week was not going to be played. Not for COVID reasons, just doesn't seem fair to put your best team and put some other teams through that many games in such a short period of time. They're going to play 6 and 12 days or some such thing. But they'll get Kansas on Saturday, and we'll see if Scott Drew's team is close to regaining that form that has led them to a perfect season so far. Here, Roy Williams looking for victory number 900. North Carolina trying to make sure its tournament resume doesn't take a hit against a Marquette team that has lost 6 of its last 8 games, but has played outstanding basketball tonight and shot it really well from 3. And that's an over and back violation. And Marquette has fallen into a bit of a turnover trap here in the second half as DJ Carton a little bit gimpy as he comes up. 7th turnover in the second half for Marquette. North Carolina's turned it over 16 times tonight.
Yeah, Reese, it's interesting kind of thinking of Kansas. Kansas has accepted their reality, which is we don't have the best basketball players on the floor. That means you got to do a lot of little things well, at times make it messy. There are a lot of teams in the country that haven't gotten comfortable with that. They haven't accepted that. North Carolina being one of them. You don't have the best players on the floor, so you got to do a lot of little things well. You've got to buy into it. Duke in the same light. And at times I always felt like Jaden Johnson didn't buy into that as much, whereas the rest of the guys may have bought into it more. It's something you have to accept at some point if you want to be competitive. Kansas has done it, and I think that's why they're back in the conversation as one of the better teams in the country.
Well, how deep, when you say better teams in the country, would you put Kansas in the group? 16, 32, not or better?
I would say 16. There's no reason why they can't win. I mean, it really comes down to matchups, as we know. And if you face a team that you as a unit of 5 can control and contain, then yeah, they can beat anybody. College basketball has so much talent out there, but does that talent have chemistry? Can that team with chemistry create rhythm, control the pace of the game to play the game the way they want it played? That's going to be what wins in the NCAA tournament this year. It's just that this year, most teams haven't had the ability or the time to be able to develop that.
North Carolina has scored 80 points or more in its last 4 home games. Now, you and I have seen them play very poorly away from home as Sharp cuts to the bucket and gets the dunk, and it's single figures for the first time in what seemed like a long time. In fact, since 5 minutes to go in the first half, Marquette has held a double-digit lead. Now it's been cut to 8 as we head to the 9-minute mark.
For the first time in a while.
Dawson Garcia get a touch here, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's definitely going to have to get a touch, especially if you can get a switch and capitalize on the mismatch. But Carolina is definitely locked in a little bit more. The communication's been good, and when the communication's good, you end up forcing bad passes. That was a good possession for Carolina after the dunk. This is just good execution. Really, I don't even want to call it good execution. It's just bad defense. Giving up a basket on the outbounds underneath when you know that coaches go over it nonstop in pregame shoot-around, you just scratch your head.
Kerwin Walton, he hit one in the second half after having a rough first half shooting. That one wouldn't go. Marquette has it back. Marquette's been very shaky with the ball in the second half. They've turned it over 3 of the last 4 possessions, and maybe that's what Wojo's going to try to do, is settle his team down a little bit. Up 8, a little over 8 to go. Wojo's never had a win as a player. Maybe he can get one as a head coach in the Dean Dome tonight. Marquette has more turnovers and field goals in the second half. What do they need to do to get back to this type of rhythm, John?
Well, you got to keep attacking downhill. This is a Carolina team that struggled to contain the basketball, and when they struggle to contain the basketball, they overhelp. You overhelp, it means 1 or 2 extra passes are going to lead to a wide open shot. That's when Marquette was at their best. That's when they were up almost 20 points, but Carolina's cut into that lead and given themselves a chance with some made field goals and extended pressure.
Golden Eagles are 9 of 22 from 3. A big reason for that was Greg Elliott, who had a terrific first half, made 3 threes, scored 13 points. He has not scored in the second half. And there's a touch for Garcia, who has 20, hasn't seen it in a while. Brooks working on him, and Dawson will go to the free throw line, where he's a 77% shooter.
Garcia's tough. Really impressed with his ability to read, sit down, be patient. Even that time, just keeping the dribble alive, working himself into the inside of the paint, knowing you're not going to get much help because Carolina trusts who they have down low.
.21 for Garcia. He seems to play his best on big stages now. They got whacked by Villanova, but Garcia had 28 points in that game, and now he's got 22 as the Marquette lead is back to double figures. R.J. Davis for 3.
Really big, Reese, and here's why. They're going underneath that screen. You've got to be able to shoot that basketball with confidence.
That's a tough place to inbound it. Marquette somehow lives to tell about it. Jamal Cain gets it in the front court.
Carolina gets that ball
back
screen.
in now.
Yeah, sorry, Reese. Carolina gets that ball screen. They've got to capitalize on that. Force the defense to adjust. If they adjust, the paint opens up. That's when you can start to dominate inside out.
Garcia and Brooks are exchanging pleasantries down low. Torrance goes all the way in, over the top, and John with a foul flush.
Leaky Black did a decent job on the basketball, but just opened up. I mean, you've got to angle him away from the basket, force a tough shot, leads to a travel, but what it did is it forced the help defender over. When you force the help defender over, you're leaving someone like Theo John wide open for a tip-back jam. Carolina's got to get better on the basketball and stop giving up easy buckets for a Marquette team that might be walking away with it.
ACC Network Saturday, terrific triple header. Starts with Syracuse and Georgia Tech. Pastors Yellow Jackets maybe trying to make a push for the NCAA tournament. Notre Dame and BC at 2, and then Virginia Tech and Wake Forest at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. It's all on the ACC Network and streaming live on the ESPN app. Here, Marquette with 7:06 to go with a 9-point lead on North Carolina. Reese Davis and John Crispin with you. Just the 6th meeting between these two. Marquette has one victory against North Carolina. It was in the 1977 National Championship game, and yet another backcourt turnover for the Golden Eagles. They recover and keep the Heels from getting an easy shot. And Leaky Black can't get it to go, and Cain with the rebound. It was a missed opportunity again, John, for the Heels.
Yeah, but honestly, it was a good scramble back defensively for Marquette. They were able to scramble out to shooters early in that possession and at least force a contested jump shot. Remember, you're not going to stop every shot from occurring, but you have to force the toughest one possible. So decent job scrambling on defense.
E.J. Carton goes to get the ball. Shot clock getting deep. Theo John has, he's got to get it up. Tries to get the offensive rebound, and Garcia comes away with it in a fresh 20 for Marquette.
And that's where North Carolina's guards have to be active as rebounders, at least alert and aware, watching the basketball, keeping your man away from the three-point line in. And that doesn't end up in the hands of Marquette.
Sharp made Carton pick up his dribble. That was a good play, but letting John loose inside was not. And the Marquette lead is back to 11 as John is into double figures with 10.
Yeah, and Carolina's really struggled with the switches. They're switching, and that's fine. They're communicating, and that's fine. But they're not defending the personnel well as Walton knocks down a huge three. I mean, that is a huge three considering Carolina's struggled to really get that from the perimeter. But if you are going to switch, you need to understand the personnel you're covering, and it changes from player to player. And if you're covering Theo John, you better play defense early.
Carton's had some turnover trouble here, handling the ball. He had it knocked away several times here in the second half. He really strong with it and tight with it in the first half. He's appeared a little unsure a couple times. I'm not sure if he got dinged up a little bit at some point. Walker Kessler returns. He had a good first half, scoring 8 points, making all 4 of his field goal attempts for Roy Williams.
There's nothing wrong if you're DJ Carton with attacking open space. I think guards want to attack to get to the basket, and they put themselves in a tough situation, but make the defense shift, attack in space, and force that space to be closed by the defense. Wow.
A tough shot by Kobe McEwen. It's a 10-point lead. McEwen. Kessler inside, has it knocked away by John, but they're sharp to follow it up, and he's fouled.
Kessler did almost everything well there, and he's had a good game. You can just see he's not yet used to the speed, right? The speed, the closing speed in this game makes a great move, but you've got to know help's coming from the foul line down. I think part of what slowed him down was taking the fall, you know. As Garcia takes the fall, as the mini flop, you pause for a second, but you have to know you're about to get blocked.
Roy Williams, 899 wins. Free throw won't go down for Sharp, so it remains an 8-point edge for Marquette. DJ Carton, transfer from Ohio State, 10 points tonight, and the foul is called.
There just really hasn't been a good flow to this game. It just isn't.
No, Walton got that foul at second. Anthony Harris will come in for him, John. It's like just as one team starts to get it going a little bit, they've handled the ball as if it's slathered in baby oil and wrapped in rattlesnakes from time to time. People pitching it all over the lot. 17 turnovers for the Heels, 15 for the Golden Eagles. Here's Carton. Rattles out. Sharp the rebound, and boy, North Carolina hasn't been closer than 8 in a long time, and they still won't be as Sharp is called for coming over the back.
It's just amazing, and I'm not saying this because in so many ways it's incredibly self-serving, but teams need shooters. You've got to have shooters the way you want to play in terms of space in the floor, attacking with bigs. If you want to utilize your bigs in the best way possible, play outside in. You know, establish yourselves on the perimeter, and then there's less help down low. Game is shifted to that point, but you need guys that can make shots.
Carton lost it on the way to the basket again, knocked away by North Carolina. Day'Ron Sharp, for the moment, is staying in the game with those 4 fouls. Here is Steve Wojciechowski. He's in his 7th season at Marquette.
Kessler's
taking his team to the tournament a couple of times. There's a good friend, Hubert Davis, on the sideline. Threw it all the way into the backcourt. We're headed under 4 minutes to play in the Dean Dome. Marquette with an 8-point lead. And another foul called on North Carolina. That's going to be on R.J. Davis. It's his 3rd.
I'm just telling you, it's hard. Look, it's hard as a broadcaster right now to get into a rhythm. And I usually like to call a game by kind of feeling it out, getting into the rhythm of the game, trying not to disrupt it so much. I don't think I'm doing that. I think I'm disrupting the heck out of this game, but there's no rhythm anyway.
Carton makes the free throw. 2 of 3 from the line tonight. If he can hit another one, the lead will be back to 10.
We talked about this coming in, where Marquette can do this. They can mess up the game a little bit. It can get mucked up a little bit, and that's fine. They've been able to win that way at a pretty high level, considering they beat Wisconsin, beat Creighton, 2 really good basketball teams. And right now the game's a little messy, and they seem to be fine, being able to put together runs when they need baskets.
Carton makes them both. You know, John, they struggled before the pandemic ended the season, losing 6 of the last 7 games last year. They lost 6 of 8 here going into the stretch. This is their 6th straight home game, and they've got road game. Got a couple more before they're able to go back home. They go to UConn this weekend. But boy, they'll be riding high if they can go in with a victory in the Dean Dome, if they can finish the deal tonight.
SEC regular season title with the win, Reese. That's after the conclusion of this game.
And Kelsey Dawson-Garcia calls a timeout, unable to get the ball in bounds in that Alabama-Arkansas game. It comes up after us. Hogs have won 7 straight SEC games. Their last loss, a 31-point loss to the Tide. See if they can get some revenge in a bit. Reese Davis, John Crispin back with you. Marquette with a 10-point lead on North Carolina. Roy Williams going for his 900th career victory, and his team has not played well at all tonight. And they foul in the back court. Now, Roy, we asked him about victory number 900. He said the only number he cared about was 15. Tar Heels going for their 15th win tonight. This loss, if they can't come back here, John, potentially could be damaging when you look at what Carolina has in front of them.
Yeah, look, this is not good at all. I mean, FSU is playing as well as anybody out there. Syracuse is a tough matchup, and then you've got your rival in Duke, whom you already have beaten in their home court. So Carolina has to be playing well heading into those games, and this is not a good start. I do think they have to be careful with the switches here down the stretch. The switches have gotten them into a bad spot in the paint. That's number one. Number two is make simple plays offensively. You just have to find a little momentum. It might not even be about winning this game, but you have to feel good heading out of this game into the next contest. And this has just been a rough one.
But it's been a good one for Marquette. I asked Steve Wojciechowski, why play this game? I mean, Marquette almost certainly is going to have to win the Big East tournament. They're going to go to the NCAAs. Wanted to do it for an experience, to create some memories. And if Marquette can hold on for 3.5 minutes, what a memory it would be to come into the Dean Smith Center, having won only 2 of your last 8 games, and stroll out with a victory.
Well, I think for Wojo, you asked that question, and the answer is really like, why not? You know, why wouldn't you? But for Carolina, it's a tough question. Like, why would you play this game? I mean, credit Roy Williams for playing this game. It's a good Marquette team. And it's a tough matchup for Carolina. But as he said, down the stretch, Carolina's got opportunities here. This is not out of hand.
No, not by any stretch, though. You can't miss many opportunities. In case you're not aware, and I'm sure most of you are watching this game was only scheduled 4 days ago as a result of North Carolina losing several home games to COVID over the course of the season. Most recently, they were supposed to play Boston College on Tuesday night. Marquette didn't want a 10-day break in between. Remember last week, North Carolina went to Twitter and found Northeastern and played a game. Marquette's being far less cooperative than Northeastern was, as Carton has a chance for a 3-point play.
And that goes back to what I said earlier. You've got to switch. And if I'm a coach and I'm playing against a switching team, you've got to play matchup basketball. The NBA does that so well. They attack matchups. They play personnel more so than anything else. And right now, that's where Marquette's thriving. They're playing personnel matchups, advantage basketball, where if you got Garrison Brooks covering DJ Carton, he's going to attack, and you're likely going to have to foul to stop him.
And the tip from John, and Marquette has it back. 14-point lead inside 3 minutes to go, and the Golden Eagles are sitting pretty, barring an absolute meltdown in the last 2:45.
I keep running ball screens and see if you can get switches.
DJ Carton's going to go back to the free throw line. Foul was called on Caleb Love. Caleb has a half dozen assists, but he has really struggled tonight. Love has not scored. 0 for 4. Now he's hobbling a little bit. 0 for 4 from the field. Hasn't shot a free throw. He's turned it over 3 times as DJ Carton now has 15 points.
If I'm DJ Carton, I get a ball screen opportunity, I'm just going to drag that thing out and see if the big comes with me. If the big comes with me, you've got mismatches down low, and you got a mismatch out top. Advantage Marquette.
Golden Eagles have scored the last 8. They've had trouble. They've had close losses in this stretch where they've struggled. Haven't been able to finish games. But this run of 8 straight points when Carolina was knocking on the door has shown some toughness as the foul is called on Jamal Cain, and that is his 4th.
You know, I'm going to make a little analogy here, and I really do mean this. You know when someone's knocking on the door just to knock on your door, and you know when someone's knocking on the door and they want to come in. Carolina knocked on the door, but it didn't seem like they ever wanted to come in. I just think it's different, and I don't think their runs didn't put any stress on Marquette. That's what I'm talking about. they didn't really stress Marquette, feeling as if Carolina's about to make a run and come back and take over this basketball game. They were just light knocks, as if they're telling you that your trash cans are still out. You've got to want to come in the door, and that's something Carolina didn't really do. It makes sense in there somewhere.
I believe that North Carolina is going to want to put this game tape in those trash cans and roll them out and hope that they're taken away soon. Marquette, on the other hand, hoping that this can spark them to a strong finish. They've got UConn coming up this weekend, and DePaul and Xavier for the Big East tournament.
UConn with James Bouknight back. I mean, that to me is an NCAA tournament team, not only an NCAA, they're dangerous. Good guard play is dangerous in the tournament.
Under 2 minutes to go. Carolina down by 15 in search of a miracle. Love for three. North Carolina now 4 of 17 from behind the arc. We've said they're not a great three-point shooting team, but they've been even below their norm tonight. Dawson Garcia has not been below his. The freshman has been terrific. He's got 24 to lead everybody. How impressed are you with him, with Garcia as the foul's called on John for moving underneath Sharp? I've just really been impressed with his smooth left-hander.
Yes, I'd say most people are impressed when they see 9 of 13 shooting and 24 points against a team like Carolina from a freshman. But what I'm impressed with is his feel for the game, his understanding of where to be in different situations. I mean, there the pressure was extended. There's a double team on the ball. He made himself present, stepped right into a jump shot, and shot it with confidence in rhythm. Those are little things that you see experienced players do, and he's done that a number of times throughout the course of this game. He's made experienced player plays.
He's one of several guys on Marquette's team that really cares a lot about the way they dress and the way they look. And you know the old saying, look good, feel good, play good. And he has been playing well tonight.
Look, you're a proponent of that. We're wearing suits, right? You're a proponent of that. Hey, come on.
I am. I mean, you look at they ought to put us on camera. I don't think they have all night, because whether you're at the arena or in your spectacular home office, as you and I are right now, you should dress for success. And you and I are wearing ties. I see a lot of our colleagues who aren't doing that. I don't understand it.
I'll let you criticize them. You can criticize them. I don't know. I don't have the longevity here, and I need to make friends. So
it's too late for that.
There we are.
But there we are. Look,
yeah.
See? Look at this.
Professional.
Actually tired.
Now I feel badly. I unbuttoned the top button. Thought we were
still
safe.
Good, though, John.
We're trying. It's funny. You pick out colors for your games, and you forget, like, this is actually Carolina blue. But then I realized Marquette wears a little light blue too. So I'm just kind of universal like that.
Uniforms. I know you're a good bit younger than I am, but I presume you're a student of the game.
Yes.
Remember those uniforms that Marquette wore in the national championship game against North Carolina? They have Marquette across the bottom with Butch Lee and Bo Ellis. That was the only win in 5 tries that Marquette has had against North Carolina, and they're about to get a second one tonight. They won't celebrate like winning the national championship, but it's going to feel good for sure.
Now, that team also had one of the best team photos in terms of like team posters ever. It's the team in leisure suits, because I think that's what they were back in the 70s. They were leisure suits with the frilly shirts on underneath, and they're all sitting around a Rolls Royce. It's just one of the coolest team photos anywhere.
That was vintage Al McGuire.
Oh, yeah.
Black with the steal and a turnover, and that's one of North Carolina's night in a capsule. And Anthony Harris is going to foul Carton in the front court, just over a minute to play.
There are times when you look at the tape, and if it's bad enough, you throw it out. But you do have to learn from this. And I know as a coach and staff, you're going to think about the things like, where can we get better from this game? And I feel it's as simple as a sense of urgency. There are little things here and there where the matchups were bad. You switch and you get DJ Carton being covered by Garrison Brooks. That's a bad matchup. But at the same time, so much of it's effort, communication, simple things that you're all in control of.
Frustrating night for the Heels. 17 now for Carton, as Leaky Black, the junior from Concord, North Carolina, will go to the bench. Frustrating night for him, and the Tar Heels will have to try to regroup. And when you're regrouping, it's not really good to see Leonard Hamilton Seminole across the court. That's a really good team as Kessler follows it in, and Walker is into double figures for the third straight game. Marquette's going to stroll out of here, a last-minute scheduled game. They're going to get a victory and hand North Carolina only its 18th non-conference loss in the 35-year history of the Smith Center. And Steve Wojciechowski, who won some games as an assistant coach, certainly during his time on Mike Krzyzewski's staff at Duke, did not win in this building as a player. And this one's gonna feel good. 3 ball in the quick timeout from North Carolina, and the leads a dozen. It's just a 30-second timeout here.
You know, it's as an assistant coach, you feel good about winning at North Carolina. But then when you become a head coach, all the things you did as assistant don't matter anymore, because now it's your program and you have to do it as a head coach. So I've got to think this win feels really good for Wojo. I mean, we put that graphic up where it said 0-4 at the Dean Smith Center, and you know, people probably say, oh, that's mean. Why would you put that up? He's fully aware of it. The type of competitor he is, are you kidding me? He's fully aware of the fact that he hasn't won in this building as a player or a head coach. So this does matter. This moves the needle.
Well, you know, look, I mean, we've mentioned a couple of times with the last-minute scheduling of this game and just creating not only the memory now, but perhaps the momentum for Marquette. They've played well against some good teams this year. Many of the losses in this streak where they'd lost 6 of 8 coming into this game had been relatively close. So 4 of them were by 7 or fewer. Another one of them was in overtime. So it's not like they were going out and just getting blasted every night. Now an opportunity, perhaps. Certainly a tough game coming up this weekend against Connecticut. Then game against DePaul before going home to finish the regular season against Xavier, and perhaps in this most bizarre of seasons, they can use this game as a springboard and build some momentum to make one of those championship week runs.
Well, you know, Reese, it's easy to compound mistakes. So when you develop the habit of having, bad mistakes and you make the same mistake over, it's easy to compound those mistakes. It's much harder in college basketball to replicate success, because what players think got them to success isn't really what made them successful. It's not making shots. I mean, it's mismake basketball at that point. It's about the things that lead to open shots. It's the amount of high percentage shots you get, and it's what you did to get those. Marquette played a good game because they capitalized on matchups. They got to the basket, they forced help, they got open looks, and Carolina did. It's as simple as that.
This is a thin team that's dealing with a lot of injuries right now, rarely able to practice as a unit. And when it would be easy to be beleaguered and beaten down and maybe just come here and show up for the experience and for the game rather than practice. Instead, the Golden Eagles come into Chapel Hill. They're going to fire up one just because the shot clock would, well, they got the shot clock violation anyway, and they're going to have a double-digit win as Roy Williams and Steve Wojciechowski meet at midcourt as last seconds will tick off, and a terrific performance by Marquette out of the Big East, coming on the road and beating North Carolina 83-70, a game that the Tar Heels led 2-0 and never led again. For our entire crew, John Crispin and everybody, I'm Reese Davis saying thanks for joining us tonight. Let's go back to the studio and Kelsey Riggs.